Welcome to Synced on Air. I'm your host, Angelique Robb, and today I have Forrest Jackson with Jackson Pottery. Welcome, Forrest. How are you
Thank
doing
you.
today?
I'm well, thanks.
Good, good. Well, we're excited to have you on here. We know the business has been around for 42 years. And a lot of people might know of your Jackson pottery line in garden centers, but you also have Jackson cast stone. So, just excited to get to know the company and your background in it and a little bit more about your company. So, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited for the opportunity. Always good to talk to you.
Awesome. Well, why don't you kick us off and tell us a little bit about, the history, the high level view. Not all, yeah, 42 years would be a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, so my family started the business. My dad started the business in 1983, and it started as a garden center, plants and pots. It grew and developed into many, many other things, became more of a home store where they have fireplaces and a Christmas store and
Okay.
a store for all seasons, I guess. But our initial customers were landscapers, some retail customers as well. But we started selling handmade pottery, handmade Italian pottery and machine made pottery out of Italy. And that's kind of how it grew and developed. Our first wholesale customers were landscapers. They were trade. They were not garden centers. They were landscapers. And that was a big part of our identity early on.
And does that original store still, uh, um,
Uh, the original store was a very small footprint. It was down the street about, I'm going to say, 2 miles. So we moved
okay.
up the street, I believe, in 1985, and that original store is still there. The original building, we've added on to it and developed from there to create more space for folks to browse.
Wow. Oh, that's great to know that it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there. My dad is 80 years old and he still goes in every day, I think. Still
Oh,
operates.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, he must love it.
Well, he does.
Well, so then but you've expanded into quite a large supplier of plant pots for garden centers as well now, haven't you?
Yeah, so probably these we started developing more wholesale accounts that were outside the DFW area that would have been garden centers. And so we
Okay.
started selling more volume to those dealers in different markets. We continued to expand our landscaper sales as well, but the distribution point became garden centers, and we really wanted to get some of our planters in the hands of landscapers and distinct homeowners. So we started developing and growing after that. And then, of course, we started developing and selling cast stone planters. So Jackson Cast Stone was born shortly thereafter. And like many cast stone makers, with the beginning, we were making bird baths and statues and all these sort of things. But I think in 2012 or 13, I cleared the table of all that stuff and we started just selling planters, really focusing our craft on our initial customers, the landscapers who were specing jobs, the architects, the property developers. And so we started making large scale cast stone pieces.
And so how much of your business is the trade then out of the whole
Gosh, that's hard to say.
uh,
You know, the trade, they shop actually at both places. They shop online with us or visit us at our wholesale location, which is not too far from our retail store, about a mile and a half. It's
okay.
about 8 acres. We have warehousing space, manufacturing. We import about $4 million a year um, in goods to sell, as well as manufacturing. So they shop at the retail store and the wholesale. So certainly a good amount of the aggregate, but the volume of the dealers is also significant.
Okay. Which are to garden centers that then could have a portion of landscape companies buying too.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I
or
guess
the
it makes it hard to track.
garden centers themselves. One of our bigger customers, actually, I would say about 40% of this gentleman's business is landscaping that he does himself. So he does his crews, he runs all his own. So they value us because we have big planners, and most wholesalers in this country do not have big planners. They just don't keep them. They're looking for easy turns on pallet assortments. They're not looking for value pieces and distinctive, iconic pieces for properties.
So do you find that that's your unique selling point is that it's the large planters, in a great quality. Is that your yeah,
Most
sorry,
definitely.
that was a leading question, wasn't it?
I would say, there's a lot of temptations in business. There's a lot of things that you can get into. Certainly during the pandemic, we got into a lot of commodity movers just because the demand was so high and people wanted them. Um, but our love is for pieces that people don't just like, but that people stop and look at and stare. And we're looking for pieces that properties can't live without. And so we are always looking to craft those, to purchase those, to design those. And we do a lot of listening with our landscapers, landscape architects, a lot of our commercial accounts to hear what they're looking for.
So do you, I mean, that's great to know that you're looking for that feedback. Can you, I guess you have to be able to justify it, but if somebody does want something that you don't already supply, you're willing to curate that or make custom, or is it, I guess it's pretty cost prohibitive to do that on a one-off basis, but if you see a gap in the market, are you always looking to evolve a bit?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly some wild things out there. So, for example, I had a customer say, if you could just get me a tooth planter, tooth. I
A
feel like I
tooth?
could go to all the dentists in the state and sell them this planter that's a tooth. And I just don't know. That's a big risk. It's a very narrow market, but we do have.
I misheard you. I'm like, "Oh,
No, it's
what?"
for real. I thought they were kidding, but they said if we could just get a tooth planter, we could sell. So we did not do that. But when a customer brings us ideas that we feel like could scale and could please a large number of our other customers, we certainly take those into consideration. So whether it's manufacturing those items or importing them and researching them, that's something we do. I'm working on some core 10 assortments right now that are at the request of one of our best customers.
Fantastic. Getting into metal too.
Yeah, we've done metal for a number of years.
Have you?
It hasn't
Okay.
been huge for us,
Uh-huh.
but we do it. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, you have so much. I mean, I was looking at your catalog and like, gosh, I didn't know they had that.
Yeah. Well, you have to because everyone's taste is so different, right? So we
Yeah.
want our customers to look at something and say, that's me. Or
Mhm.
for their client, say, that's who my client is. That reflects, I mean, I'm in the expression business. So we are looking for something to where the customer can say, this is my form of self-expression.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that is great. One of the things that you mentioned about the cast stone is that, and I have to admit, I think I know what you mean by cast stone, but, like, I thought, you may have your own way of doing it because you're calling it a small batch process. Could you just, I guess, give a brief summary on what your process is like and how it crafts the product?
Sure. There's many ways that people use cast stone. True cast stone is a dry cap tamping that people do with planters. Our cast stone is a wet cast
Okay.
cement that's fiber reinforced. And then when they're larger pieces, we actually use metal fibers to help reinforce those. But the process is small batch. And how that distinguishes us is there are many, many producers in the market who do a wonderful job and they produce a cast stone mix and then they stain the outside of it or paint the outside of it to create different colors and options for their customer. They're able to scale that to a high degree and it's very quick. And aside from the curing time, it's very quick and they're able to do that process quickly. Ours is small batch. So what that means is we are taking the product, we are mixing the colors throughout. So it's an integral color. So the
Okay.
colors are mixed inside. So it's not a topical stain. It's not a paint. When it gets chipped or dinged or hit with a weed whacker, you just simply sand it and it's going to come out the same color. But our small batch production means that we have to clean out the mixers each time we make a different color. So obviously we batch those in days and we have a number of mixers to accommodate our customers. But the small batch process is handmade. It's hand turned. So yes, we use molds, but we are hand packing those and pouring the concrete directly in.
Wow. Okay. No, I love that it's, you know, invariably things happen. Like you said, somebody dings, an outdoor pot, not on purpose. But yeah, it's nice that when it's through and through, the quality, the color, everything, it's part of the character then.
right?
Yeah.
And our goal is to get those planters out into the market in strategic locations. There are certain garden centers or landscape centers that suppliers that have yard space and are committed to servicing the trade in their area. We
Hmm.
don't sell this to most garden centers. We sell to a few places that are set up to serve as high-end accounts or trade accounts.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah.
little bit different distribution model than someone who's just simply making and shipping to the job, and we did both.
Yeah. Well, and I guess you also have to be careful because these will be really heavy pieces, that you'd want them to be handled with care. So you don't want to ship them too many places, or go through too many hands for that reason.
Yes, these are ones that you have wanna lift with your back, not your legs, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You wanna be careful. You know how many times I say that, and people don't notice, like, "Oh, you lift with your back, not your legs." They're like, "Right."
Yeah, break your back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're made to stay. I mean, you don't want pieces blowing over. You certainly don't want theft, and you want people to feel like they've gotten a value out of what they've purchased. So, there has been an allure for lightweight in the market for so many years. Not against it. Certainly great for interior scape, but I think there's something enduring about having a heavy cast manufactured in the USA piece. At the same time, many of our pieces that we're bringing in from overseas, the larger pieces, are also quite sturdy, frost-proof. So we're looking to add value with durability.
Well, I think, it's like building outdoor living spaces. You can build them cheaply and they don't last, or they take a lot of cost to keep them looking good from year to year. One of the things that we like to promote at Synced is that if you look at the economics, it is always better to buy quality in the first place, to buy something that you can repair, or equipment that you fix. You don't have to buy a new one every so often, or products like what you're saying, it's built robustly with great quality and care, color throughout, that you can send it and fix it in place. It's also, I mean, I'm thinking, I'm in Louisiana, it's hurricane proof, or resistant, or wind, like, that's something you don't want these planters rolling around in the
Right.
strong winds. You want it to be robust when it's outside and Mother Nature can whip it around.
So I think it's downtown Louisiana at maybe the convention center. A lot of those cast stone pieces that have the fleur de lis on them, I believe those were ours that were done through one of our partners many years ago. So yes,
I
those
was
squares.
only there in, I think it was February or March, at an event in
Yeah.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always fun to see, and I do enjoy when different places seeing our cast stone pieces, and I'm so on this I'm only about 98% sure because it was quick, but I saw an ad with an actor down there in Austin um, talking about homes or talking about some sort of real estate e-commerce website, and I saw our planters like, oh, there's Jackson cast stone right there. That's amazing. Um, I suppose we should tag that sort of stuff more often. We might get more marketing out of it, but
Maybe a little, yeah, a little plaque, or a little,
yeah.
something, so that people know, because I guess that's the thing. You've been in business for a long time, and these pieces, you're recognizing them because you've been involved, you've grown up with it, but we don't know that. That is a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and it's hard to keep
Geotag
track.
them, maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track. Of course, we're happy that people are celebrating their landscape planners and of course their landscapes in their homes. Buying durable quality pieces makes a statement about what you value and who you are. And you're
Hmm.
right in regard to not buying pieces that are cheap or throwaway pieces. I think things are starting to change a lot. I
I
think that
hope
you're
so.
going to have changes in the market in regard to the younger generations wanting something that is more durable instead of just the inexpensive tossers.
Well, and, I've come over from being in Europe for 20 years, and I noticed how different I am with purchases from that time. It really bugs me if I order something and it breaks and I'm like, "I should have known better," but, sometimes it's hard with the allure of things coming at you all the time and, the words don't reflect what the piece is, so, I think that there's a lot out there that's misleading and quality, whatever. We throw the word quality around, but we really need to dig to that next level, especially as professionals. If you're providing something um, on behalf of a client, you have to know that the quality is there, so you can't just trust anything. You have to, you don't know what scenario is going to happen, who's going to bump into it, you know, I mean, you said strimmer, but car, anything that's gonna happen, it has to withstand, and it can affect your reputation as, um, the, design and build company behind that purchase. Um, you have to know the quality.
Yes,
So,
that's true. And to
I
be
think
clear, if a car runs into one of our pieces, I'm certain that would break, but I do feel bad for the car.
yeah. Well, let's hope that that isn't happening anywhere. Yeah. So talking about that, I mean, that is one thing that we like to talk about is sustainability and, what, initiatives or what do you see for the future of Jackson Cast Stone, Jackson Pottery, you know, that you want to build into your products or you want into the company over time? Do you have anything that you're thinking of? I mean, obviously, you're all about quality is what, the small batch quality, the Italian quality, but surely that, you know, you have a future aspect to your company. What would you say?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we do small things like recycling our cardboard or recycling the metal that we might use in different parts of our company. We've looked at recycling the concrete. So when a piece is bad out of the manufacturing and we have to destroy that piece, recycling that concrete. When clay is an interesting thought, and there's just the beginnings of that going on out there.
Okay.
We have not done that because we're not the ones actually manufacturing the clay, so we haven't done that as much. But I do hear whisperings that that's going on more often. But our wish and our hope is to produce pieces that are there for a longer term, that people are happy with, that express who they are, so that they're not going out and buying over and over and over again, filling landfills.
Yeah. Well, and I think, building it right the first time it's a great message.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, and you did say that in the I can't remember the exact time, but you started as mostly trade and then during COVID, supply the demand was so great for more consumable products and then you're getting back to focusing in on the trade. What does that mean from a does it mean that you have different products? Does it mean, what?
I think after the pandemic, I think the speed at which things were happening and the demand levels during the pandemic were obviously unsustainable, as we've seen. I think that the margin of or the time that we have now to really focus in on higher quality, it was like many, it got to the point where we were just bringing in whatever we could to supply our partners. Not necessarily on the landscape and trade side, but we really are happy again to slow down and focus again on trade and design. There was a time during the pandemic where design was out the window because we were doing everything just to supply the pieces that we had. And really, we like to do designs. We like to innovate. We might innovate more than most companies out there in terms of planters. And so we enjoyed doing that. And so putting that on the back shelf for during that time period, even though the revenue was great, it was really not as much fun.
So does that mean you're getting back to your roots?
Yeah, getting back to the roots of
No
design,
pun
getting back to the
intended.
roots. Yeah, back to servicing the customers that we enjoy the most.
Do you supply, I mean, it sounds like you supply nationwide, but are there hot spots where your products are used?
Our biggest markets are Texas,
Texas.
obviously because we're nearby, and then we do well in Florida. We've done different projects in Southern California. We get quotes and bids and requests from, I think New York City, and New York is one of the biggest landscape architecture, has the most landscape
Hot
architecture,
spots.
yeah, in the galaxy. We'll get bids and requests from offices located there for different projects. But we serve also many people who are not necessarily landscape architects, but landscapers. And since we manufacture here and we stock so much inventory, it makes the turnaround time faster. And then on that manufacturing side, this year alone, we opened up a new space to make sure we had stock to fit projects into people's schedules much faster. As opposed to folks who are just simply manufacturing and shipping 6 weeks later, we're really trying to get ahead of that curve with the items that we know customers need quick.
Okay. Well, that's great to know. So, where can our listeners go to find your products?
Yeah, so for landscaper, we actually just recently opened up a new website for the trade. It's called Jackson Pottery Pro. So the Jackson Pottery is would be the one that most garden centers go to. But with the demand increase, we opened up Jackson Pottery Pro. JacksonCastStone.com is more of an informational page on our cast stone pieces. But Jackson Pottery Pro allows you to log in, see live inventory, and order your pieces for the job.
Wow. Okay. And have like a trade account through that, or
Correct. Yep. Yep.
okay. So you
Super
have
easy to
trade
sign up. Yep.
partners. Yeah. Well, great. Well, we can put that in the show notes so it's easy for people to access. What else would you like to tell our listeners, realizing that they're design and build professionals all over the country?
Yeah, I would say what we really enjoy, and this inspires my team and our staff, is to see photos of really great projects. Um, if it's something where you've used our pieces, we love to see those. But even if it's something else, we like to see those because it helps us step up our game to service you better. So we love to see that. I don't think that landscape architects and landscapers are celebrated the way that they should be. I really don't. I think that oftentimes in projects, they get the last part of that budget because the building was so much work and they're not celebrated. They're not recognized the way they should be. And so our intent is to escalate um, or elevate them and show their work. So we enjoy that sort of thing. So if they have projects, especially with our pieces, we'll put them on social media and we're making bigger pushes there. But we really just enjoy celebrating what they've done.
Well, I'm thinking you need to have a photo contest.
Yeah, we can do that. We need somebody to run it.
Yeah.
You'd be great at that. Thanks.
Okay. So everybody listening, well, yeah. Let's talk about that off of the call. I don't know if that would need another project, but let's see
Yes.
how I can help you do that.
I
So
feel like you need more to do. Let me come up with something for you.
okay, okay. Thanks, Forrest. Oh, well, this has been fun. I think what's important is that we've talked about quality and, your commitment to landscape architecture and design and wanting to celebrate that more. And I think when we elevate any part of the industry, the whole industry benefits from it. So
Yes.
thank you for those words of encouragement. I also think we don't always take enough time to take final photos and celebrate the project because we're too busy getting on the next project. So it's a good reminder to celebrate the end and the final product and give thanks to all the companies that were involved. So photo contest is on.
There you go. One other thing I would mention, we have some dealers who do stock landscape planners and they do a great job. But I think it must be challenging for the trade to find really good planners. They're searching around online trying to find those. We stock so much for the purposes of being available to them. And I think being a resource for them is really important to us. We want to have the availability, we want to have the designs, we want to be able to meet their timelines. And then when their projects get delayed, we have the space to hold the items. So I mean, we really are trying to accommodate as best we can and support them. It's an important business. It speaks a lot about our culture. It speaks a lot about the environment and who we are as people, as humans. So
Thank you for that. I appreciate it, and it's been great to have you on, and, hope to come and tour your facility sometime.
you should.
I'm hoping to be in Dallas sometime. I keep saying this, but sometime soon. Um, so let's, yeah, I'll keep you in mind to loop you in, and we'll get a tour, and maybe even see who's in the Dallas area that wants to join me.
Hey, that'd be
So
great. We'd love to have you.
awesome. Well, thanks, Forrest. Thanks for being on our podcast, and look forward to more collaboration.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.